There is exactly one state in America where you can walk into a licensed establishment, negotiate a transaction with a consenting adult professional, hand over cash that could run well into the thousands, and then leave, completely legally. No arrest, no criminal record, no shame spiral in a police holding cell, just you, your wallet, and a receipt. That state is Nevada. And what happens inside those doors has been federally tolerated, county regulated, health inspected, and occasionally even run by the United States government, which, and I cannot stress this enough, failed at it. Today, we are counting down the 10 most fascinating places in America where the world's oldest profession is entirely above board. Licensed, taxed, tested, advertised, in some counties anyway. We are talking about legal, regulated adult entertainment operations that have survived fires, IRS seizures, a murder at the front gate, a semi-truck through the front door, and the occasional politician who happened to die on the property. Buckle up. Before we get into it, here's what's waiting for you in this video. The ranch that was literally sold on eBay by the United States government. The brothel that's been operating since before the Transcontinental Railroad was finished. The desert establishment where the owner was posthumously elected to the Nevada State Legislature. And the resort-style compound 60 miles from the Las Vegas Strip that styles itself more like a 4-star hotel than anything you'd imagine. All of that is coming. Hit subscribe. Not for me, for you. Because the next time you take a wrong turn in rural Nevada, you should at least know what you're about to stumble into. Let's count down. On number 10, Battle Mountain, Nevada. Desert Club Girls. There is a town in Nevada where a licensed adult entertainment club sits next to the highway like a diner, and the locals just sort of accept it the way you'd accept a Waffle House. It's just there. That town is Battle Mountain, Lander County, Nevada. Population, roughly 2,000. Median home price, somewhere in the range of $100,000 if you're lucky. And yes, there is one legal, licensed establishment operating in the county. The Desert Club on North 2nd Street, which has been part of the local scenery for decades. Battle Mountain was built around ranching and gold mining. Hard-working people, brutal winters, brutal summers, and a general attitude of minding your own business that runs so deep it might as well be in the water. The town once made a list of the most boring places in America, a distinction that Battle Mountain residents apparently found hilarious and leaned into fully. But boring is a matter of perspective. Population, approximately 2,000. County population, under 6,000. Number of licensed adult entertainment establishments, 1. Number of times that establishment has made national news, arguably less than the town's most boring designation. Unemployment, fluctuates with gold prices and mining contracts. Median household income, below national average, heavily dependent on mining operations. Here is the thing about small Nevada towns like Battle Mountain. They were built for transient workers. Miners, cowboys, railroad crews, truck drivers passing through on Interstate 80. Entertainment options in the middle of the Nevada desert have always been limited. And Nevada, being Nevada, decided at some point that limiting those options artificially was bad economics. The Desert Club is a legal, licensed operation under Lander County's regulatory framework. Workers are tested. Condoms are mandatory. The county gets its licensing fees. One Reddit user describing a pass-through of Battle Mountain put it this way. Reddit, quote, "Saw the Desert Club sign from the highway and just thought, yeah, that tracks. This is exactly the kind of place where that exists." Here is what I think about every time I picture Battle Mountain. You are a long-haul trucker. You have been driving for 11 hours straight across the Nevada desert. Your only companions have been a cold coffee, a satellite radio station playing the same 5 country songs on rotation, and a GPS that has not shown a new landmark in 80 miles. You exit Interstate 80. There is a casino, a motel, a gas station, and a sign that says Desert Club. At that moment, in that context, the existence of that sign is either the most normal thing in the world or a fever dream. Nevada cannot decide, so it just lets both be true simultaneously. You've got the flattest, emptiest stretch of American interstate, a sign that would be illegal in 49 other states, and absolutely nobody batting an eye about it. Battle Mountain said, different strokes. The county said, pay your licensing fee. The state said, we literally don't care. If you thought Battle Mountain was low-key about all this, Lander County's neighbor has been considerably louder and considerably more organized. On number 9, Elko, Nevada, a mining town with 7 licensed establishments. In the early 1880s, Elko, Nevada was a railroad junction with a saloon on every corner and absolutely no pretense about what the railroad men wanted when they came off their shifts. 140 years later, Elko has grown into a genuine small city with a university, a national Basque festival, a thriving gold mining economy, and, as of the latest count, 7 licensed adult entertainment establishments operating within the county. 7. That is more than any other county in Nevada. Elko County is the gold mining capital of America. When gold prices go up, Elko booms. Miners come in from across the country on rotating shifts. They work brutal weeks underground, and then they have money and time, and they are in the middle of the Nevada desert with limited options. The market, as they say, found a solution. Population of Elko City, roughly 20,000. County population, approximately 53,000. Active licensed adult establishments, 7. More than any other county in the state. Median household income, above Nevada average, driven by gold mining. Unemployment, historically low, tied to commodity prices. Crime rate, generally moderate for a rural western city. The establishments in Elko include names like Sue's Fantasy Club, Mona's Ranch, and the Desert Rose Gentlemen's Club. Sue's, according to the former manager, specifically does not rely on highway truckers. Unlike rural brothels along Interstate 80, Sue's benefits from the mining economy. When gold prices go up, business goes up. When gold prices tank, things get quieter. It is, in the most literal sense, a commodity-backed industry. Sue's is pegged to gold, which is something I didn't expect to type today, but here we are. Mona's Ranch calls itself the #1 establishment in Elko and has a bar, a strip-tease room, and a VIP suite in a building that has been serving miners and cowboys since the mid-1900s. A former mining worker left a review online that was, Reddit quote, "Stayed in Elko for a 3-week rotation. The town is exactly what it looks like. Straight, practical, no nonsense. The establishments fit right in." Picture this. It is 2 in the morning in Elko, Nevada. The temperature has dropped below freezing. The streets of downtown are quiet except for a few trucks idling outside the casino. Inside one of 7 licensed establishments on the county rolls, a woman in a fully heated room has just passed her weekly health screening and is negotiating a legal transaction with a man who drove 7 hours from Salt Lake City. Both of them know exactly what the county licensing board requires. Both of them know exactly what the health department mandates. The paperwork exists. The test results are on file. And somehow, this is simultaneously the most regulated and the most misunderstood industry in America. The mining economy booms. The county collects its fees. The gold comes out of the ground. And Elko just keeps being Elko. Practical, cold, and absolutely unbothered by your moral judgments. 7 establishments in one county. That is a lot. But the town next on this list built an entire interstate rest stop infrastructure around the concept. On number 8, Wells, Nevada, the highway town that has been at this since before the Transcontinental Railroad. There is a town in northeastern Nevada where one of the establishments currently operating can trace its history to 1869. That is before the Golden Spike was driven at Promontory Point. That is before most American states had finished Reconstruction. The Central Pacific Railroad needed workers to be, and I am using the historical record here, happy and productive. So they built the original ranch themselves, out of railroad ties. Welcome to Wells, Nevada. Population today, approximately 1,300. Population when this whole thing started, also not that many. What changed was Interstate 80 and U.S. Highway 93 intersecting directly in town, making Wells a mandatory stop for anyone crossing the country. Population, 1,300. 2 active licensed establishments, located exactly at the junction of I-80 and US 93. Donna's Ranch has been operating in some form since 1869, potentially the oldest continuously operating establishment of its kind in America. Bella's Hacienda Ranch has been running since it opened in 1950, originally on land built near the railroad. Both operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Donna's Ranch. The place is owned by a former certified public accountant from Boise, Idaho, named Jeff Arnold, who once told reporters he bought it after he got a look at the books and liked the numbers. The boxer Jack Dempsey was a previous owner. Read that again. Jack Dempsey, world heavyweight champion, one of the most famous athletes of the 20th century. Owned a ranch in Wells, Nevada that is now registered with the county health department and accepts walk-ins off the highway. The trucking economy made Wells what it is. According to industry estimates, truckers account for up to 75% of business at rural Nevada establishments along Interstate 80. When diesel prices spiked in 2008, brothel revenues actually tracked the decrease in long-haul trucking. The Nevada Brothel Owners Association president told CBS News at the time that their business was down about 19%, essentially following the same economic indicators as truck stops. Reddit quote, "Drove through Wells on a cross-country move, looked up the town out of curiosity. The Wikipedia article for Donna's Ranch is longer than the Wikipedia article for the town itself. That is actually plausible. Picture this. It is 3 in the morning on Interstate 80 somewhere east of Elko. You are a trucker with a full load and another 8 hours to go. The GPS shows 2 things, a rest area and a sign for Wells. You know what's in Wells. You have known since someone mentioned it in a truck stop in Ohio 3 days ago. The temperature outside is 17 degrees. The wind is doing something that only wind in northeastern Nevada can do, which is to say, something cruel and personal. You pull off the interstate. The road to the ranch has been there since before this state existed. The doors are open. They are always open. Wells, Nevada. 1,300 people. The railroad built it. The highway kept it alive. The industry gave it something to be known for. If Wells has history, the next location on our list has infamy. They are very different things. On number 7, Mound House, Nevada, home of the most famous brothel in American television history. There is a small, unincorporated community 6 miles east of Carson City, Nevada, that you have almost certainly never heard of, unless you had HBO in the early 2000s. It is called Mound House. Population, approximately 400 people, and it contains the Moonlight Bunny Ranch, which was featured in an HBO documentary series that ran from 2002 to 2014. Made its owner one of the most publicly recognized figures in the legal adult entertainment industry, and briefly made Mound House the most talked about 400-person community in American cable television history. Mound House is in Lyon County, Nevada. It sits near a historical Pony Express stop. There is a historical marker on the Bunny Ranch property noting this fact, which is possibly the most Nevada sentence I have ever written. Population of Mound House, 400. Active licensed establishments in the immediate area, multiple. The Moonlight Bunny Ranch first opened in 1955 as the Moonlight Ranch. Dennis Hoff purchased it in 1992 for $700,000 and invested another $500,000 in renovations. The HBO series Cat House ran for 2 seasons and multiple specials from 2002 to 2014. The street providing formal access to the ranch was officially named Bunny Ranch Boulevard by Lyon County, a name established by the Nevada Department of Transportation. That is a real street name on government maps. Dennis Hoff. Where do you even start? He owned 7 legal brothels across Nevada. He was the president of the Nevada Brothel Owners Association. He wrote a book called The Art of the Pimp, deliberately riffing on Donald Trump's The Art of the Deal. He appeared on Oprah, The Today Show, The View, Fox News, and Howard Stern. He ran for Nevada State Assembly, won the Republican nomination, and then died at his Love Ranch in Crystal, Nevada on October 16, 2018, 2 days after his 72nd birthday. He was found unresponsive by Ron Jeremy. His name remained on the ballot. He won the election posthumously by 68%. A dead man won a Nevada state legislative seat. The seat was then filled by appointment. That is not a dark joke. That is the documented historical record of the state of Nevada. After Hoff's death, a docu-series called Secrets of the Bunny Ranch aired on A&E in 2025, in which over 24 former employees spoke about conditions behind the scenes. The picture they painted was sharply different from the polished HBO series. Multiple allegations of assault were detailed. Several women described feeling unable to leave. The contrast between the televised version of the ranch and the alleged reality became itself a story about what legal regulation does and does not guarantee. Reddit quote, "Watched Cat House at 16 and thought it was wild. Watched Secrets of the Bunny Ranch at 32 and just felt tired." Picture this. You are driving through Mound House at noon on a Tuesday. There is almost nothing here, a gas station, a few houses, the Nevada desert stretching in every direction. And then you see Bunny Ranch Boulevard, a street name on a green government sign, the same font as every other street name in America. And somewhere on that road is a building that was on HBO, that had a historical marker placed on its property by the state, that is surrounded by the kind of silence that makes you understand why people in this industry call Nevada live and let live. The story of Mound House is really the story of one man's ability to turn a legal loophole in a rural Nevada county into a national media empire, and what gets lost when the cameras go away. Would you spend a night in Mound House? No judgment, we're asking. On number 6, Crystal, Nevada, the Love Ranch and the politician who died there. Crystal, Nevada is not a city. It is not a town. It is barely a named place, a community in Nye County with so few permanent residents that calling it a settlement feels generous. What it does have is the Love Ranch, a licensed adult establishment formerly owned by Dennis Hoff, the same man from Mound House. And it is the place where Hoff died on October 16, 2018, 2 days after a birthday party attended by Joe Arpaio, Grover Norquist, and Ron Jeremy. The cause of death was determined to be a heart attack. He was 72. Hoff purchased the Love Ranch after first running the Moonlight Bunny Ranch and eventually building a portfolio of 7 licensed Nevada establishments. He renamed the property multiple times, called it various things for branding purposes, and styled himself as a libertarian businessman politician. Nye County population, approximately 48,000 spread across a county larger than the state of New Hampshire. Active licensed establishments in Nye County, 4. The Love Ranch sits in Crystal, an area so small that its population is not separately tracked by the U.S. Census Bureau. Hoff described the Love Ranch as offering high-end companionship with luxury car service and VIP amenities. He offered free services to troops returning from Iraq in 2003. Hoff also, at one point, operated the Alien Cat House in nearby Amargosa Valley, a different establishment that leaned fully into the UFO and alien tourist aesthetic of that part of Nevada. Because of course it did. Why wouldn't you rebrand a licensed ranch as an alien experience when you're 40 miles from Area 51? This is Nevada. The branding practically writes itself. Reddit quote, "Only in Nevada can a man die at a brothel and then win a state election from beyond the grave." I don't know if that's inspiring or terrifying. It's both. The answer is both. Picture this. It is October 16th, 2018 in Crystal, Nevada. A birthday party has just ended. Grover Norquist, the famous anti-tax crusader, was among the guests. Joe Arpaio, the former Arizona sheriff, was there. The guest of honor is found unresponsive in the morning. He is dead. His campaign for Nevada Assembly is already in progress. There is no mechanism to remove a deceased candidate from the ballot. And so, 3 weeks later, in a rural Nevada district, voters go to the polls and elect a dead brothel owner to the state legislature by a margin of 37 percentage points. Nevada, a state that has always found creative ways to be exactly itself. On number 5, Pahrump, Nevada, the closest legal establishment to Las Vegas and the most unhinged 2-mile radius in America. There is a town 60 miles west of the Las Vegas Strip where everything that is technically illegal in Las Vegas is technically legal. That town is Pahrump, Nevada. Population, approximately 38,000 and genuinely growing, because people keep moving here either because of the real estate prices or the libertarian energy, or both. Pahrump has the Chicken Ranch. It has Sherry's Ranch. It is Nye County's main population center, and it has been operating as the de facto pressure release valve for everything Las Vegas quietly wants, but publicly cannot have. Pahrump started as a farming community in the 1950s. It grew through the 60s and 70s as Nevada's legal framework for adult entertainment developed. Today, it has 2 of the most recognizable licensed establishments in the state, both within driving distance of each other, both operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Population, approximately 38,000. Distance from the Las Vegas Strip, 60 miles. Drive time, approximately 60 to 90 minutes depending on traffic. Active licensed adult establishments, multiple, including 2 of Nevada's best-known operations. Median home price, significantly lower than Las Vegas. One of the fastest-growing communities in Nye County. Also, no state income tax, because this is Nevada, and Nevada is committed to the bit. The Chicken Ranch has been operating in some form since Walter Plankington opened it in 1976, as close to Las Vegas as legally possible at the time. In 1978, it was burned to the ground, allegedly arsonists. 12 workers and 2 employees barely made it out. Plankington rebuilt within 5 days, with new trailers. Within 5 days. Whatever else you want to say about that man, he was operationally resilient. The Nevada Supreme Court eventually ruled in his favor in a legal battle over whether the county could shut it down as a nuisance, and the Chicken Ranch has been operating ever since. Sherry's Ranch, the other major Pahrump establishment, styles itself as a resort, not a ranch, a resort. Sports bar, outdoor swimming pool, spa, tennis courts, upscale rooms. In 2026, workers there made headlines by organizing with the Communications Workers of America under the banner United Brothel Workers. The first union effort of its kind in Nevada history, launched via Discord after management presented new contracts. That is a sentence that would not have made sense in any previous decade. But here we are. Reddit quote, "Went to Pahrump for the first time to visit a friend. She was not exaggerating when she described it as Las Vegas's shadow life. Everything Vegas can't legally do is just sitting here in the open. Here is the thing about Pahrump I can never get over. You could, theoretically, get on the Las Vegas Strip right now, where everything of this nature is fully illegal, drive west for 60 minutes on a straight highway, and walk into a licensed establishment with mandatory health testing and a spa menu. The legal line between these two places is not a moral line or an ethical line. It is a county line. Clark County says no. Nye County says sign here and show your ID. 60 miles. 1 hour. Completely different legal universe. That is America in a sentence. Why is getting from the desert to a sports bar with a licensing board this difficult to explain to the rest of the country? Tune in after the break, because things are about to get significantly more complicated. On number 4, Sparks, Nevada. The Mustang Ranch, government property, sold on eBay. The Mustang Ranch in Storey County, Nevada, about 20 miles east of Reno, was the first officially licensed brothel in American history. Licensed by Storey County in 1971, making Nevada the first and still only state in the nation to explicitly legalize this industry. That is not a small historical footnote. That is a landmark in the regulatory history of the United States. And then the IRS seized it. Twice. Storey County, Nevada, population approximately 4,000 people. One of the smallest counties in America by population. Annual county budget historically around $9 to $10 million, of which the Mustang Ranch contributed over 4% for nearly 30 years through licensing fees, property taxes, and business fees. That is a meaningful percentage of a county budget from a single licensed brothel. Joe Conforte, Sicilian immigrant, former cab driver, convicted of extortion and tax evasion before he even got the licensing ordinance passed. He opened the Mustang Bridge Ranch in 1967 and then, using what can only be described as an aggressive community organizing strategy, renting out cheap trailers and telling the tenants how to vote, got Storey County to pass the first brothel licensing ordinance in American history in 1971. He expanded to a 104-room facility. He was on the cover of Rolling Stone in 1972. By the late 1970s, he was arrested on 10 counts of tax evasion, eventually fled to Brazil, came back, made a deal with the government to testify against a federal judge, went back to Brazil, came back again, fled again, and was eventually the subject of a $16 million federal tax lien in 1997. Along with racketeering and money laundering charges. The IRS, having finally had enough, seized the Mustang Ranch in 1999. The federal government, the United States of America, found itself in the position of operating a licensed brothel in rural Nevada. David Letterman joked about it. Jay Leno joked about it. The government quickly discovered it was not equipped for this particular venture and padlocked the gate. They then auctioned off the assets, the bidets, the beds, the room numbers. They literally numbered and auctioned off the room numbers individually. Eventually, the Bureau of Land Management put the entire property up for sale on eBay. Lance Gilman bought it in 2003 for $145,000, less than a studio apartment in most American cities, and rebuilt a 30,000-square-foot facility 5 miles down the road with an Italian theme and a museum honoring Conforte's legacy. Reddit quote, "The U.S. government ran a brothel, failed at it, put it on eBay. Someone bought it for $145,000, and they put a museum in the new one. I live in a simulation." Picture this. It is 1999 in Storey County, Nevada. Federal agents in suits are walking through a building with painted walls, velveteen couches, and 40 years of accumulated history. They are cataloging inventory, beds, linens, bidets, room number plaques. They will sell all of it. The machines of the United States government, the same ones that processed the moon landings and managed D-Day, are now trying to figure out what to do with a 104-room establishment in the Nevada desert that has been, until this week, generating taxes, employing residents, and operating under a county license. They fail. They padlock the gate. They put it on eBay. This is a real thing that happened. Also, a man was shot and killed outside the front gate in 1976. He was a world-ranked heavyweight boxer named Oscar Bonavena. Conforte's bodyguard pulled the trigger. Conforte was accused of conspiring in the murder, but never charged. The Mustang Ranch is currently operating again under new ownership, with a full resort facility, organized history tours, and what I can only describe as a deeply confident attitude toward its own legacy. On number 3, Mina, Nevada, the most isolated licensed establishment in America. There is a place in Mineral County, Nevada called Mina. Population, approximately 177 people. 177. It sits on U.S. Highway 95 in the high desert, somewhere between Reno and Las Vegas, and closer to neither than you'd want. And in Mina, there is one licensed establishment, the Wildcat Brothel, sitting 2.9 miles south of town on the highway. One establishment, 177 residents. Let's do the math on that ratio. Mineral County population, under 4,000. Wildcat Brothel, sole licensed adult establishment in the county. Population of Mina itself, 177 as of last count. Distance from Las Vegas, approximately 4 hours by car. Distance from Reno, approximately 2 hours by car. Elevation, approximately 4,400 feet. Average annual precipitation, about 5 inches, which classifies it as desert. Number of things to do in Mina that are not the Wildcat Brothel, debatable. The Wildcat is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It maintains an active website. It has social media. Its clients are primarily highway travelers, long-haul truckers moving between Reno and Las Vegas on the only road that meaningfully connects them. The Nevada Brothel Association has listed it on their official directory for years. 177 people, one establishment, and a highway stretching to the horizon in both directions. A visitor who stopped through once noted, Reddit quote, "Pulled off 95 to look at the sign, sat there for a second, thought about everything that led humanity to this exact point in history, got back on the road." Picture this. It is midday on U.S. Highway 95, somewhere in Mineral County. The thermometer says 93 degrees. There is nothing on the horizon in any direction except desert, heat shimmer, and a sign. A legal sign, a county-licensed sign. Inside the building behind that sign, there are health inspection records, condom requirements, weekly testing protocols, and a state licensing certificate issued by the County of Mineral. 177 people live near enough to call this their town. Almost none of them put it on their dating profiles. You would not either. This is the America that does not appear in tourism brochures. Functional, strange, operating under permit. On number 2, Lyon County, Nevada, the Mound House cluster and the road with the government name. Lyon County is home to 4 active licensed establishments, all of which were previously owned by Dennis Hoff, the man you have now heard about 3 times in this video because he owned 7 establishments across the state, had an HBO show, won a posthumous election, and managed to die at his own property in the presence of enough political celebrities to fill a moderate-sized fundraiser. Mound House, the unincorporated community we visited earlier, sits inside Lyon County. But Lyon County is larger than just Mound House. The county encompasses rural communities stretching from the outskirts of Carson City east into the desert, and its regulations have, for decades, been some of the most permissive in the state when it comes to licensed adult businesses. Lyon County population, approximately 60,000. Active licensed establishments, 4, all in or near the Mound House area, clustered within a few miles of each other. The Bunny Ranch complex, including the Moonlight Bunny Ranch, the Love Ranch, the Sagebrush Ranch, and the Kit Kat Guest Ranch, all sit within a short drive of each other on roads like Kit Kat Drive and Bunny Ranch Boulevard, both of which are official Nevada roadways with posted signage. Let that settle in. There is a cluster of 4 licensed adult entertainment establishments within a few miles of each other, on roads with names that tell you exactly what you're about to find, operated under county license, tested weekly, paying business fees, and close enough to the Nevada State Capitol that the lobbyist for the Nevada Brothel Owners Association used to say the Bunny Ranch was the closest legal establishment to Carson City, which gave its owner unique leverage in conversations with lawmakers. Dennis Hoff, in 2003, offered complimentary services to troops returning from Iraq. 3 women and 13 men accepted. He told Reuters at the time that if he owned a Dairy Queen, he'd have given away free ice cream. He was not entirely wrong about the logic. The Kit Kat Guest Ranch burned down in 2023. No one was harmed. The new owners were working on rebuilding as of the last known report. The Love Ranch was the site of NBA star Lamar Odom's collapse in 2015, which resulted in him being hospitalized and generated enormous international media attention, transforming a licensed establishment in the Nevada desert into the subject of a global news cycle for approximately a week. Lyon County appeared in more celebrity tabloids that month than in the previous 20 years combined. Reddit quote, "There's an official road in Nevada called Kit Kat Drive. The county named it. The government maintains it. If that's not the most Nevada sentence in existence, I don't know what is." Picture this. You are driving through Lyon County at night. The sky is enormous out here. Desert clear, stars everywhere, no light pollution for miles. You pass a sign, Kit Kat Drive. You pass another sign, Bunny Ranch Boulevard. You pass a building with lights on, and another, and another. These establishments are open right now. They have been open every night for decades. They have health certificates. They have business licenses. They are paying property tax. And outside each door, the Nevada desert just continues. Indifferent, patient, enormous. 4 establishments, 1 county, all within miles of the state capitol, all named, signed, and licensed like any other business. This is what live and let live looks like when it becomes infrastructure. On number 1, Pahrump and Storey County combined, Nevada's legal adult entertainment network as a whole. Let's zoom out, because here is the thing that gets lost when you're talking about individual ranches and county roads with suggestive names. Nevada built a system, an actual functioning regulatory framework that no other state in America has ever replicated. And whether you approve of it or find it troubling, or both, and both is a completely reasonable response, the existence of that system is one of the most genuinely singular facts about American law. Nevada is the only state in the country where this is legal. Full stop. 1 state out of 50. Since 1971, as of the most recent count, there are 19 active licensed establishments across 6 counties, 7 in Elko County, 4 in Lyon County, 4 in Nye County, 2 in White Pine County, 1 in Lander County, 1 in Storey County. 10 Nevada counties technically allow the practice under state law, but 4 of those currently have no active establishments. The 2 most populated counties, Clark, which contains Las Vegas, and Washoe, which contains Reno, prohibit it entirely. You can be 60 miles from the Strip and fully legal, or standing on the Strip and committing a misdemeanor. That is the line. That is the actual legal geography. The industry generates an estimated $35 to $50 million annually in direct revenue, with a broader economic multiplier. Fuel, lodging, dining, estimated at $400 million in visitor spending. Rural counties collectively receive approximately $10 million per year from licensing and fees. In Storey County, the Mustang Ranch alone historically funded over 4% of the entire county budget for nearly 3 decades. These are small counties. 4% is ambulances and fire departments and county roads. Workers must be at least 18 years old, 21 in some counties. They submit to regular HIV testing and testing for other sexually transmitted infections. Condom use is mandatory by state law. A 1995 academic study found that with consistent condom use, sexually transmitted disease rates in licensed Nevada brothels were effectively zero, a statistic that advocates have cited for decades in arguing that the regulated model is measurably safer than the criminalized alternative that exists everywhere else in the country. There has never been a confirmed case of HIV transmission in a Nevada licensed establishment. The Nevada Brothel Owners Association, which has an official lobbyist, a mailing address, a PAC, and for many years a president who was one of the state's most recognizable business people, has argued this point for half a century. Academic researchers at major universities have published peer-reviewed work documenting the comparative safety outcomes. Critics argue the system still normalizes exploitation, that the independent contractor status masks labor imbalances, and that the regulated option does not eliminate harm for everyone in it. In 2026, the workers at Sherry's Ranch formed the first union in the history of the Nevada legal adult entertainment industry via Discord, because the industry is apparently now unionizing on social media platforms. The story of Nevada's legal adult entertainment industry is not a simple story. It is not a story about freedom alone. It is not a story about exploitation alone. It is a story about what happens when one state, for better and for worse, decides to regulate something instead of criminalize it, and then spends the next 55 years discovering in real time what that decision actually means. Reddit quote: Nevada didn't legalize this because they thought it was wholesome. They legalized it because they're practical. The oldest state attitude in America. If it's going to happen anyway, at least make it pay taxes. Picture this. You were standing on the shoulder of a Nevada highway. 49 states stretch away from you in every direction. In all of them, this industry operates. Underground, unregulated, untested, and outside any legal protection for anyone involved. Behind you, in this one state, 19 establishments are open right now, operating under county licenses, with health inspections on file, and workers who technically have legal recourse if something goes wrong. The desert doesn't care about the distinction, the law does. Depending on which side of the county line you're standing on, you are in two completely different Americas. Nevada didn't solve anything, but it built something no other state was willing to build. And for the last 55 years, it has been the only experiment of its kind running in the United States. Like this video, or the ghosts of Mustang Ranch will start showing up at your tax filing appointment. Subscribe, because next week we're going somewhere even stranger.